I was 23 when I met a guy named Caleb through a mutual friend at a coworker's birthday dinner. He seemed charismatic enough, well-spoken, a bit quiet, but not in a way that raised any alarms. We hit it off decently, exchanged numbers, and started texting shortly after. Our first date was a casual walk through Westwood Park with coffee. It lasted under an hour, just enough time to confirm he wasn't completely strange. Our second date was drinks at a rooftop bar downtown. He made me laugh a few times, seemed a little nervous, but harmless. By the third date, dinner at a cozy little Italian place, I started noticing odd things. His stare lingered a bit too long. He asked a lot of deeply personal questions about my family, my apartment, even my childhood. I brushed it off at the time, thinking he was just trying to connect. But on the fourth date, everything changed. It was another night of drinks, this time at a low-key lounge. Caleb drank more than usual and fast. He kept reaching out to hold my hand, brushing my arm, leaning too close, more than I was comfortable with. When I pulled away politely, he laughed it off, but his eyes didn't. They stayed fixed on me in a way that made my stomach churn. I told him I was tired and ready to head home. He insisted on walking me to my car. Once outside, he suddenly asked, dead serious, if he could come back to my place. I said no. His face changed. He asked again, this time offering to cook breakfast in the morning. I lied and said I had an early meeting. I got in my car and started to drive, staying under the limit since I'd had a couple of drinks. I was overly aware of the road, and maybe that's why I noticed it. Caleb's car behind me. At first, I thought maybe we were just going the same direction, but after 3 random turns, he was still there. I texted him, "Are you following me?" He replied almost instantly, "Just want to make sure you get home safe." I tried calling him. No answer. I pulled into a gas station and waited, texting him again to stop. His car idled on the street for a moment, then finally drove off. That should have been the end of it. But when I got home, in bed, he texted again. "Hope I didn't come off too strong tonight. Next time, we should just chill at my place or yours. Way more relaxed." I didn't reply. The next morning, he followed up. "So, was the vibe off?" I still didn't answer. Then an hour later, ? I gave in and sent a message. "Hey, you're a nice guy, but I don't think we're a match. I'm focusing on myself right now." He fired off message after message. The worst one read, "You used me. 4 dates for nothing? You owe me at least half the money I spent on you." I blocked him. I thought that would be it. But later that week, I started getting calls from no caller ID, over and over. I ignored them. They finally stopped. But 2 days later, I came home to a bouquet of roses and a card on my front porch. The card read, "Please give me one more chance. I think we could be great." He had found my address. I sent him a final message from a friend's phone. "Do not ever come to my home again, or I will call the police." I blocked that number too. I hoped it was over. One night when I was home alone, my parents were out of town. I was in bed when I heard something downstairs, a soft creak. I froze. I live in a split-level home, and my bedroom is on the top floor. I strained to listen, and I swear I heard the sound of a door opening. I grabbed my phone, crawled out of bed, and slicked under it, heart racing. I called 911 and whispered into the phone. Then I heard my bedroom door open. Footsteps padded across the carpet. Then the drawers beside my bed opened, slowly, one by one. I covered my mouth to keep from breathing too loud. Then I heard someone sit on the bed above me. I could see the shadows of his shoes through the bedskirt. Black boots. I recognized them. Caleb had worn them on our second date. He muttered something under his breath. I couldn't make it out completely, but it sounded like he said, "Where is she?" He sat there for at least 2 minutes. I didn't move. Finally, he stood, slammed the drawers shut, and walked out. I stayed under the bed, on the line with 911, until police arrived. They swept the house. Every window was unlocked. One, by the kitchen, was slightly open and small enough to crawl through if you were desperate. I filed a report. They told me without footage or clear proof of him being in the house, it would be hard to press charges. But I got a restraining order, and Caleb never contacted me again. Still, I didn't sleep well for months. I would check the curtains 5 times a night. Every sound, every creak sent my pulse racing. And sometimes, still, I'll see a black car idle across the street for a bit too long before driving off. And I wonder, what if it's him? I was in 7th grade when it happened. Just before winter break, my school held a winter wonderland event, and I volunteered to help set up after classes. My friends and I got to stay late, decorate the gym with lights and fake snow, and mess around once the teachers left. As a reward, the PTA gave us snacks and pizza, so it felt more like a party than work. There was another student who stayed late too. His name was Nathan. He wasn't part of my usual group, but we'd talk sometimes. He was quiet, kind of awkward, but he made us laugh with dumb jokes. I never felt uncomfortable around him, at first. 2 weeks later, right after the holidays, a couple of girls came up to me in class, giggling. One of them said, "Someone has a huge crush on you. He's gonna message you tonight." I didn't take it seriously, but I was curious. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, my tablet buzzed. I had one social app I was allowed to use, Messenger Kids. The message came from Nathan. It started off simple. "Hey, I need to tell you something." I replied, "Sure, what's up?" His next message was a wall of text. He told me he was in love with me, that he had been thinking about me non-stop since the school event, that he had memorized my laugh, that he couldn't sleep without picturing me. Then, at the end, he said, "I want you to be my girlfriend. I think we're meant to be." I stared at the screen, frozen. I barely knew him. We'd never even talked outside of group chats or school events. I took a deep breath and responded carefully, "You're really nice, but I don't feel the same way. I think we should just be friends." He didn't take it well. First came the questions. Why not? Did I do something wrong? Don't you think we'd be cute together? I gave soft answers. I didn't want to hurt him. Eventually, he stopped replying. But that wasn't the end. The next morning, I walked into school and heard whispers. Nathan had apparently told his friends that we were basically dating and that he was planning to kiss me soon, even if it meant catching me by surprise. I felt sick. I went to my homeroom teacher and told her everything. She said I should stay inside during recess and lunch, just in case. That didn't feel like enough, so I went to the principal. He said he'd handle it. I felt a little better, but the next day, as I walked home, just across the street from the school, I felt eyes on me. I turned to see a shape behind a tree. I ran inside. 2 minutes later, there was a knock on the door. My mom opened it, but no one was there. Just a note on the ground, addressed to me. It said, "Look under the white truck." That truck belonged to my older cousin. We checked. Nothing there. But the next day, the truck wouldn't start. A mechanic later said it looked like someone had messed with the fuel line. I was too young to process how serious that was, but my mom wasn't. She started taking things very seriously. Then things escalated. Every day I'd get a message from Nathan. Things like, "You're so pretty. Can't wait to see you smile tomorrow. We're meant to be, I know it." I ignored them. I blocked him, so he started messaging from other accounts. One afternoon, I saw a flash behind me as I walked home. I turned. He was across the street, phone raised, snapping pictures. That night, I got a message from a fake account with a photo of me walking, looking confused. That's when I started sleeping with the lights on. Eventually, the school counselor called me in. I thought it would be for support, or finally to say they'd suspended him. Instead, she smiled and said, "Sweetheart, boys just do weird things when they're in love. You should feel flattered." I sat there, confused. She continued, "You'll understand when you're older. This is part of great." That night, I cried telling my mom. She wasn't just furious. She stormed back into school the next day and demanded action. We met with the principal. My mom's voice shook with anger. "Are you seriously going to wait until something happens to my daughter before you do anything?" But it was already too late. One weekend, while my parents were at the store, I was in my bedroom, watching a video on my tablet. Suddenly, thud, something hit my window. I froze. Thud. Again, I slowly walked over and peeked through the blinds. Nathan was standing in my backyard throwing pebbles. He looked up and smiled when he saw me. I backed away. Then came the messages. "Why'd you run? I just wanted to see you. Please come outside. Don't make me mad." I didn't reply. I didn't move. The next morning, there was chalk writing on our driveway. "You're mine." I never saw Nathan after that night. My parents filed a police report. He was removed from our classes. He finished the year at a different school. Years passed. The last thing I heard, he was arrested at 18 for breaking into a girl's apartment. It still chills me. But the worst part of all of this, the most haunting thing, wasn't just that a boy stalked me for months. It's that an adult, a trusted school counselor, told me to treat it like a compliment. I'll keep this as anonymous as possible. Even now, I feel a tightness in my chest, just thinking about it. At 24, I wasn't what you'd call socially outgoing. I've always been introverted, the kind of guy who preferred quiet weekends gaming or watching documentaries instead of going out. Growing up, teachers used to call me distant, and I'd often get sent to these short behavioral programs in school, not because I acted out, but because I just didn't talk much. But despite that, I eventually found my groove in college, landed a great job after graduating, and at 24, I bought a 2-story townhouse in the outskirts of town. It wasn't flashy, but it was mine. And that's where I met Isla. We matched on a dating app. She was cute, clever, seemed genuine. Our first date was sushi. I was nervous. I always am. But it went better than I expected. I made her laugh. I thought she was way out of my league, honestly. She texted me later that night, saying she had a great time. We kept seeing each other. Second date, third date. By the fourth, she started calling me her boyfriend. I wasn't even sure how it happened that fast, but I went with it. At first, I was flattered by the attention. I'd never had a girlfriend who wanted to be around me so much. But that feeling faded into something else. Isla started texting me constantly. I couldn't go 10 minutes without a "where are you?" or "why aren't you answering?" She'd call at random hours just to ask what I was doing. Then she suggested we share our phone locations, just in case one of us got in trouble. I hesitated, but I agreed. That's when things turned. She started showing up, unannounced. Once, I was at my friend Jared's house playing board games, and I hadn't responded to her text in about 20 minutes. She tracked my location and literally knocked on Jared's front door, demanding to know why I was ignoring her. Jared's mom was the one who answered, and had to walk her down into the basement where we were hanging out. It was humiliating. That night, I drove home alone. I texted her saying I needed space. She didn't take it well. The next day, she pounded on my front door for nearly 30 minutes straight, screamed at my neighbor, called me over 60 times in 2 hours. I stopped sharing my location. She exploded. So I finally texted, "I'm sorry, Isla. I need to block you for my own safety. Please respect that." And for a few days, nothing. Until a week later, I had just gotten back from another hangout with Jared and a couple friends. It was about 11 p.m. I was in my kitchen microwaving leftovers, scrolling through Netflix, trying to find a horror M. The microwave beeped, and suddenly I heard something. A click from the dining room. My house is laid out in a loop. Kitchen connects to dining room, which loops to the living room, and then the back den. The dining room has a door that I always keep shut. I muted the TV. There it was again. Click. The sound of that door creaking open. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. I grabbed a knife from the counter and dialed 911. I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just wanted help. I stayed on the line and told the dispatcher what I heard. She told me to go outside if it was safe. So I did. Within minutes, 2 officers showed up. I let them in and we searched the entire place. Closets, crawl space, attic, everything. No one was there. I was rattled. I barely slept. I dismissed it as a creaky house, or maybe I left the door unlatched. I almost texted Isla, but stopped myself. That night, I took melatonin and passed out around 1 a.m. Then I woke up. No sounds, no knocking, just a feeling. I checked my phone and saw a string of messages from an unknown number. The area code was local, all from Isla. "I'm sorry. Please, can we talk? Are you awake? Wake up. Please wake up." The last text was just, "I know you're there." I was staring at my screen, stunned, when, bang, my closet door flew open, and Isla screamed. She was in my room. She'd been hiding in my closet, waiting. I saw her silhouette as she lunged out with something shiny in her hand, a kitchen knife. I bolted off the bed, slammed the bedroom door behind me, and braced it shut with all my weight. She pounded on the door, trying to open it. Then she started stabbing through the wood. I could see the blade piercing through, just inches from my arm. In a moment of desperate instinct, I shouted, "Isla, I love you, stop." She paused. Silence. Then she cried through the door, "You mean that?" I kept talking, anything to buy time. I whispered to the 911 operator, still on the line. I gave my address. I begged them to hurry. Isla sobbed on the other side of the door. "If you really love me, open the door." I told her I would if she dropped the knife. I made her throw it across the room. I heard it clang against the wall. I opened the door and tackled her to the ground. She kicked and screamed and clawed, but I held her down until the police arrived. They didn't knock. They kicked in the front door and rushed up the stairs. When they saw us on the floor, they took her down fast. She was crying, yelling my name, begging me to tell them she didn't mean it. But it was over. Isla was arrested that night and charged with attempted assault, stalking, and breaking and entering. She's in prison now. That doesn't make me feel any better. This was someone I let into my life, someone I trusted, someone I thought I loved, and she tried to kill me. Even now, in my new apartment, with new locks and security cameras, I still check the closet before I go to sleep. Every single night.